Thanks to a new law, the maximum monthly copay for insulin for Medicare beneficiaries is now $35. Taking advantage of the new benefit may be tricky because it's not reflected in the Medicare Plan Finder, which helps beneficiaries choose prescription plans. Insurers have 30 days to issue a refund if they've charged more than $35 a month for covered insulin. Medicare also has created a special enrollment period that will give beneficiaries who use insulin until the end of the year to switch plans if they didn't get the best deal during last year's open enrollment. Whether you are looking to get back in the job market or switching careers, it's a safe assumption that any future employer will look at your social media accounts. Look at your online presence through the lens of a potential employer. Remove any content criticizing previous employers or jobs. Clean up any spelling or grammar mistakes if you can, especially on professional platforms such as LinkedIn. And be careful when talking about divisive subjects such as politics. That's your AARP Minute. See you tomorrow.
Hey, you look kind of familiar.
You do too. Are you me?
I don't think so. Do you know what Social Security is?
Not really.
Then you're definitely not me. If you were, you'd know how important it is.
Wait, is this a commercial for Social Security?
No, we're just two people having a regular talk like they do on TV. Anyway, Social Security is your money. Did you know that? You've been paying into it since you started working.
I've never thought about it, but I'm not close to retiring. Isn't that what it's for?
Yes and no. I keep track of my Social Security because it's my money, and it's there for me to use it at different times, like retirement. But also if I end up unable to work, if a loved one passes, Medicare, and supplemental income.
Wow. I had no idea. I guess it's good to keep up with your Social Security at any age. This really feels like a commercial, doesn't it?
No, it's not. Try Social Security today.
Pops, I quit. They don't appreciate me there.
When I was your age, there was none of this appreciate me business. I worked hard for my money.
Pops, by the time they take out taxes and Social Security, I was left with nothing.
Now you guys have it made. Oh boy, smartphones, video games, therapy. Yes, sir, it's a bona fide easy street for you all.
I work hard for my money, and then they just take it away.
Honey, you have to see the Social Security payment as an investment to your retirement. I've worked hard all my life, and now, want to set up like this? Well, then you need to learn how to see it through, even if it's tough. Come on, you got to go now. I'm going to bingo with the boys. It pays when you save.
AARP, keeping Social Security strong for you.
So thank you all for joining today for the segment. I'm super excited to share with you guys this recipe. When we were trying to figure out what we were going to do, I was like, chili is definitely one of those things that is very comforting and also culture-wise something that is celebrated as well. I know last time we did the chicken and waffles. Was it the chicken and waffles for the Black History Month segment? I believe that was the one. And so I'm excited to get into this. If you guys are new, drop down in the chat where y'all are from, and how did you hear about us? That would be great.
Hi, Tia.
Yeah.
I believe that the chat was closed, but it should be open now. So if folks want to give it a test, sorry about that, folks. That was on me.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, you guys share with us where you're from. How did you hear about us? And as for me, my name is Tia. I'm the owner of Urban Soul or Urban Soul Market, and we veganized soul food, y'all. I mean, literally everything from fried chicken to baked macaroni and cheese to collard greens, all of your soul food staples and favorites. That's what we do at Urban Soul. So just a little bit about my journey as well. I became plant-based around 2016 and fully vegan in 2017. I tell everybody it's a journey, so don't be too hard on yourself. I know a lot of you guys have just taken the leap to become vegan or go plant-based or vegetarian. Whatever your journey is, you most likely started that in the January. If you started that journey in the January, drop a yes in the comments below. If you're just exploring with the lifestyle and you're just super excited to be part of, you know, either sustainability efforts or a better health, just drop exploring in the comments for me. So this way I know kind of where you are and where we need to go with future events. So the recipe for the chili, okay, if y'all been part of my classes before, y'all know I cook from the soul. You know, there's a saying that says, let the ancestors guide you. So in most of my classes, I let the ancestors guide me. You know what I'm saying? I literally cook from the soul, and that's what this is about, right? That's what Black History Month is all about. Most of our grandmothers, our mothers, our parents, they don't have recipes and they have never written any recipes down. And so that's kind of how I learned to cook. I learned through taste. I learned through watching and observing. This recipe only served as a guide for you guys to have something to go by, just because a lot of you guys are new to veganism and are new to the plant-based lifestyle. So I wanted to provide you just a guide to be able to follow, and then once you have that, you can take it from there. You can pull away or add more of whatever it is that you enjoy the most. So for this recipe, we are using 3 different types of black beans. I chose that because I really like a very hearty soup and stew, right? I don't want like a very dense stew where it's like, you know, just super brothy or whatever. I need some depth in there, okay? I want to feel like I'm eating a regular meal. I don't want to be hungry. And one thing y'all know about me is I don't play about my food either. So we're going to be using black beans, pinto beans, and red kidney beans. I think in the recipe, let's just go here. We did pinto beans. Yeah, so I'm going to be using all 3. And then you just want to rinse and drain those. I also have here some stewed tomatoes, some celery, some carrots, corn. I think the recipe that I wrote down called for garlic, oregano, bay leaves. I mean, you're just gonna load this thing up. It's gonna call for the all-purpose flour, yellow cornmeal. Now that's going to be huge. Do not skip out on the yellow cornmeal because that's where you're going to get your depth and flavor for the cornbread, okay? And then you can use sugar, but granulated sugar, if you're going 100% vegan, also has traces of bone in it, like once it's ground up. I'm not sure if you guys knew that, but if you're vegan or you're plant-based or you're on that journey and you're new to it, do not consume sugar. I actually had over here some, you can use like agave or something like that. That's going to be your best bet to use agave. Or in this recipe, I also wrote down that you can use applesauce, which is what I'm going to be using because it also serves as a binder as well. And then some baking powder, unsweetened almond milk. I chose oat milk because once I found out about oat milk, it is a game changer. Oat milk, it is a game changer. It's way more thick and it almost reminds you most similarly for me of regular milk. So I don't know, it just changed my entire life and I felt like I couldn't go back. But if you enjoy almond milk or soy milk, more power to you. As long as you're on your plant-based journey, I support and teach you. So we're getting ready to put this possible meat here. And I'm just making this for myself, my own household, y'all. I'm not cooking for anybody today. So I'm not wearing gloves, but typically if I was cooking for someone, yes, absolutely, I would be wearing gloves. And the thing I like about most of these meats, the plant-based meats, is they really, really mimic the texture of regular meat. If you guys have absolutely any questions that you want to ask me, please drop them in the comments below, and then we can go ahead and get to your question. So for this, I'm just going to be seasoning with some seasoned salt. Just a little bit of seasoned salt. And that pretty much has everything in it. Already has the paprika, the salt, pepper, onions, garlic. If y'all turn over a bottle of seasoned salt, you'll see the ingredients that's in there, which is why, you know, for me personally, that is the seasoning of choice when I'm doing plant-based food, because I want to make sure to turn up the flavor all the way. So, had our back door open earlier. We got a friend in here. Okay. And then I'm also going to be adding a little bit more garlic powder to that, just to give it a little extra flavor. And we'll just let this cook down. So once again, when you're making plant-based food, I know a lot of people get intimidated by that. Because it seems like a whole new world. Like, oh my gosh, what do I do? How do I eat? What do I eat? You're just gonna use the exact same flavor profile as you did from before and just choose vegetables. For me, a whole food plant-based diet is one of the best ones where you use mostly vegetables. So I went ahead and turned that up a little bit. And while that's cooking, let's just go ahead and get into this cornbread, since that's gonna take a little minute. So I went ahead and pre-mixed everything.
Hi,
Yes.
Tia.
Uh-huh.
I'm letting folks know that if they didn't receive the ingredient list, they can email Herrera@aarp.org,
Okay.
and we'll send ingredient list towards them.
Perfect.
We're getting a lot of questions on that. So if you did not receive it, just email please Herrera@aarp.org, and I'll send it over to you. Thank you.
So we're just gonna go ahead and brown this. For my cornbread, again, I kind of do everything by eye, by sight rather, because I'm used to cooking. I'm gonna just pour in my oat milk. I know we have a little bit of time. We don't have that much time together. So I know my measurements by consistency, if that makes sense. And I know some of you guys that may not be chefs, but you're just used to cooking, you kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go ahead and add in this applesauce as well. And this is gonna be for those who want an oil-free, like the actual cornbread. If you want it to be oil-free, then you'll be using this recipe. There's one that's provided without oil, and then the other one with oil is provided. So I'm doing the oil-free, guys. I'm really getting into health and wellness. Like, I've taken it up another notch. I know this is beginners, but listen, once you get into it and you really start feeling better and you really start to embrace it and understand that it's like, you know, just part of your journey. Like, don't be so scared of it. I find a lot of people are just afraid. But once you really start embracing it, you can start introducing those flavors into your food. And I want y'all to see the consistency. that I have going right now. Can y'all see that? It's kind of like, I have to get up close and personal here. If you would like to butter the pan, you still can, or whatever dish you're using for your cornbread, you still can. You want to go ahead and set that oven to 400 degrees. And this meat is looking like it's just about done. And just with those 2 ingredients, my kitchen is already smelling so good. Just with the garlic powder and seasoning salt. Now, I didn't overload this because we're getting ready to put all of the flavor in the actual stew. So I'm not gonna do any overloading in terms of bathing and grounding this with seasoning, because I'm actually gonna put that directly onto the vegetable. One thing about plant-based cooking that I've learned as a rule of thumb is always use vegetables first. That is the base to every recipe. So I'm gonna put this to the side. And then we're gonna start on our stew. Gonna turn this up a little bit. And then now this is just some melted butter that I have. This is what I'm gonna be using for the cornbread. And if you've been cooking for a while, you should kind of understand this method. I don't actually butter anything. I just kind of melt it and then pour it in and just kind of let it run around and get the corners. That's just me though. I'm exposing y'all to my cooking style. You don't have to do it my same. Okay, so now we're just gonna put this cornbread mix in here. And you're more than welcome to load up your cornbread as well. I've seen people use jalapenos and corn, and how you would go about that is you would just grill them first, grill your jalapenos and your corn first, maybe throw a little agave on it. And then you'll just add that to the batter and put it in the oven. So I'm gonna pop this in the oven really quickly. And then that's gonna be in there. Let's see, if I can put down the time. For about maybe 10-15 minutes. Okay. All right, so let's get to the stew. Start a little bit. Have it on high heat. And again, if y'all have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'm just gonna add a little bit of water. Oh yes, now we're cooking. And this is my favorite part where I just start loading everything into the pot. So I'm gonna start with the onions first. And again, I'm doing everything like with the least amount of oil possible. There's not going to be any lack of flavor, but in the recipe, you will see that there's oil in it. So I just put the onions in there. Celery, carrots. And another thing I love about cooking plant-based food is the color. Like you're literally eating the rainbow. And the food is so delicious. So we got that. I'm gonna put our corn in. Also some stewed tomatoes as well. Y'all, this is already smelling super good. And I'm just gonna use the juice of the tomato to kind of get a little bit of a, there you go. A little bit of a consistency going. So now that I have all of my vegetables in, what you would do is just literally wait until all of this cooks down. Again, we're on a time schedule, so I want to make sure to show you guys step by step. So this will be cooking for a while. I mean, you want your vegetables to get nice and moist, not soggy, but you do want them to start releasing that flavor. Also, bell peppers is something that you can add. Green, red bell peppers. I mean, again, this is your journey. This is, you know, you do things according to what you like. Some people don't like tomatoes. Some people don't eat corn. You know, if you don't eat those things, just don't include them. But for this segment, we're going to be adding a little bit of everything. I'm going to go ahead and start putting some of these seasonings in there. We're going to start with some fresh garlic, some cumin, and I put turmeric in everything. We're gonna do some chili powder, again with the seasoning salt, some bay leaves, and some oregano, and then I'm gonna mix this around a little bit. Y'all, it smells so good in here right now. So this is starting to cook down a little bit. And this is gonna basically, when you cook your veggies first, what you're doing is you're releasing the flavor of those vegetables. And believe it or not, that is seasoning, right? So when you purchase the vegetable broth from the store, all you're doing is purchasing the juice from vegetables that have been boiled and strained. So we're creating our own vegetable broth. If you notice, I added a little bit of spring water and that's it. I didn't put any oil in this. So if you guys are on a health and wellness journey, this stew is really, really good for that. And super flavorful. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in some fresh cilantro as well. And that is just beautiful. I want you guys to see what this is looking like so far. And we haven't even put any of the other stuff in. I mean, I can eat it just like this. Honestly, with some rice. What else? So now we're gonna add the beans in. And I'm gonna go in with some kidney beans first. And then black beans. This is a really good recipe as well for the winter months. If you just want to meal prep and have something ready to go, that's super healthy. You don't have to worry about calories. Don't have to worry about eating something super fatty. It's going to be fulfilling and satisfying. And I'm just letting the ancestors guide me at this point when it comes to the seasonings, because I'm going in. I told y'all I wanted to get the base first and then get the flavor from the vegetables out. So I just went in with a little bit more seasoning. This is looking and smelling absolutely amazing. And if you guys want it to be a little bit more spicy, I know people love to have spice. You can go in with some cayenne pepper. You also can go in with some, what are those? My mind just went out the window. But, oh goodness, what are they called? They're like these peppers, dried peppers. I don't know, crushed red peppers. There you go. Crushed red pepper flakes. You can sprinkle that over, get some of that heat out of there. It's, you know, basically however you want to season, you can go ahead and do that. Another trick too, if you're new to the plant-based lifestyle, you can also add a capful of tamari. Tamari is one of those things that I normally add in meat dishes or something that's supposed to be like meat, because it just adds that extra flavor of beef, as well as also going in with a little bit of liquid smoke. I wouldn't do too much liquid smoke for something like this because you don't want it to taste like barbecue. You just want to have a tiny bit of that smokiness, like that smoke flavor. So you can always go in with that as well. So I'm going to add in our beef, our impossible meat to the stew. Okay. Put that in there. Add a little bit more water. And as you go along, this stew will start to create its own gravy just because of all the vegetables, depending on how long you cook them. This is super duper hard. And I'm actually gonna go in with another can of the stewed tomatoes. If you want to stew your own tomatoes, that's another thing. You're more than welcome to do that. All you have to do is just boil your tomatoes down with some bay leaves, a little bit of coarse or seasoned salt, and just boil them down. I would boil them whole and just kind of let the stew do what it does. But for purposes of the segment, I went ahead and got some stewed tomatoes. And this is what's gonna add that thickness to the soup and kind of forming the gravy of the soup. The beans will also do that as well. So now that that's in there, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of pico de gallo. I know this isn't on there, but this is how I'm doing my stew. You guys wanna add that? All that is just chopped serrano peppers, onions, some tomatoes, a little bit of chopped green onion, and then regular onions again. I'm gonna put in a little bit more cilantro just because I like cilantro. And that's what it's about. It's about cooking from the soul. You know, when you get these recipes, you should use them as a guideline, but ultimately you wanna cook from the soul. You wanna go by what it is that you like, what's your preference. And as you begin this journey with plant-based eating, you'll be exposed to so many new flavors, so many new seasonings. When I first started, I didn't know what turmeric was. I didn't know what sage was. I didn't know poultry, like all of these different seasonings that I found out about. I had no idea. I had no idea there was such thing as jackfruit or the purple sweet potato. It's like a new world. So it's exciting. Add a little bit more garlic powder and bay leaves to that. Yep, so I'm gonna go ahead and check on our cornbread as well. That's almost done. That was definitely longer than 15 minutes. But I think that's because I used the applesauce. So we're just gonna move this around. And this is already looking so amazing. And it's very hearty. Like the way that I'm making it, it's not a chili that's gonna be dense and watery. If you want it that way, I would suggest adding way more veggies. Again, like I said, you can create your own broth by just boiling your own vegetables with water, getting that flavor, extracting the flavor out of those vegetables. And then you'll use that as your stock. And when you do that with garlic cloves, oh my goodness, so good. Like just putting whole garlic cloves and just boiling it with, you know, some carrots, some fresh onion. All right, y'all. Cooking now. I'm not sure if y'all can see this, but this chili looks amazing so far. I'm gonna go into a little bit more chili powder just to really get that flavor amplified. And I'm also gonna add a little bit more spring water just so it doesn't thicken too much. Here we go. Perfect. Do you guys have any questions so far? Anybody have any questions? Great. So I also wanted to try something different with the cornbread. So I purchased this strawberry cream cheese. I don't know, it just spoke to me. It just spoke to my spirit as I was passing through the aisles. And I said, you know what, this might be really good. So a backstory is I used to work years and years ago at this place, and they had cornbread, and it was partially soul food, and they had like this cream cheese butter that went on top. So as I was thinking, I was like, what if I create a cream cheese butter for the cornbread? I don't know. That was just me. But you can use regular cream cheese and mix it with the butter. I recommend doing it with the cream cheese because it's a little bit thicker. So if you just mix regular butter with a little bit of cream cheese, it'll give you a lot of flavor. I just wanted to throw that in there real quick. This is looking amazing, y'all. And it hasn't even been that long. Like it hasn't, like normally when you cook a stew, it's gonna be cooking for quite some time. You're not gonna rush through. You kind of, you know, you wanna let those vegetables release their flavors. Again, you wanna start traditionally. If we weren't on this segment, I would start this out with, you know, either some water. If you're doing the no oil, you start out with a little bit of water, Or if you're doing it with the oil, you just want to do like a little bit of grapeseed oil, some chopped garlic and some chopped onions and bell peppers, and just throw that in there and kind of let it brown a little bit. Then you'll start adding the rest of your veggies little by little, just kind of layering those flavors up, adding a little bit of water as you go along to kind of build up the flavor of that broth. And then after that's done, then you want to start adding your beans little by little. And traditionally as well, this would be something where we soak our beans and then we cook them. If you were doing that method, that's fine too. You don't have to use 3 different beans. I would just go with the pinto. I would soak them, then drain them, and then just cook them with some cilantro, the fresh tomatoes, what else? Onions, and just let it boil. Fresh sea salt or coarse salt, and just kind of let that boil. I mean, that alone will add so much flavor to this. Let me go ahead and check on the stew again. And then I want y'all to see what this is looking like. Can y'all see, by the way? Are y'all able to see from way over here, or did y'all need me to get up close and personal? So that's what the stew is looking like. So most,
Giovanna wants to know if you use fresh vegetables or frozen vegetables.
So these are fresh vegetables. The corn is frozen, but you're more than welcome to use, again, like a more fresh type of recipe. If you want to do the corn fresh, then obviously you would just cut down on the husk and get your fresh corn from there. But all the other stuff is fresh. These are all fresh vegetables. Even the carrots as well, these are chopped. So, yeah. Perfect. So I'm gonna check on our cornbread again. And I just want to kind of see how beautiful this came out. It's really gorgeous. Let's see. More. So I'm gonna actually and I want to get a little bit more brown on the top, so I turn the oven off. It's gonna let it sit in there just so that it gets a little bit more brown on the top. And this stew is looking amazing. I'm sure it tastes amazing as well. And that's how easy it is, guys. Don't get overwhelmed when you hear the word vegan. Don't allow anyone to intimidate you with that. You're just going to use fresh vegetables and seasonings. That's pretty much it. If you have a really good seasoning profile, then you're able to transition and transform any dish. So I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but this is pretty much done. I would honestly just let it cook a little bit longer to get the carrots soft, but other than that, this is gonna be your 1 pot Texas chili. And if you would like to add some extra things, like I said, like the tamari, or you wanted to add in the cayenne pepper to give it some spice, or the crushed red bell pepper. Geez, I can't speak today. The crushed red peppers, you can do that as well. Do y'all have any questions for me about the recipe or anything that I can help you with along your vegan journey with your cooking?
Nola wants to know if you let beans soak overnight, or if
the beans, yes, I would soak the beans overnight. Yeah, I mean, I would leave, like mine, I'll leave them out during the day. You can put them in the fridge at some point. Just so they won't be like sitting. I'm not sure if your house is super humid or not, but you don't want to wake up and then, you know, have the beans not be good anymore. We want to refrigerate those if you're gonna do overnight. And then I'm just gonna plate this so you guys get to see how everything looks once it's all finished. And then I just cut up some avocados for mine, so I'm gonna do some cheese. They do sell vegan sour cream. So if you wanted to do sour cream on it, you most definitely can do that as well. I'm just gonna add a little bit of cheese here. And what was I doing? Oh, the avocado. I just wanna take a couple of slices of avocado. And put that on there. Put a little bit of the pico. Onion. Some fresh cilantro to top it off. All right. Here we have our chili. And that was super easy, guys. I mean, these recipes are really helpful, especially for beginners. All right, so now this is going to be cornbread. I still have some melted butter here. I'm just going to drizzle the butter on here. And this is what our cornbread is looking like, guys. Do y'all have any additional questions before we close? I'm just gonna get into this cornbread real quick. Because that plate is surely missing a piece of cornbread. Kind of want to let it cool off though. But I'm gonna try to slide a piece out just so y'all can see the consistency. If I can get it. It's not quite cooled down yet.
Tia, do you want to let folks know about the next class that we have coming up next week already?
Yes, so next week we're going to be doing the Valentine segment, and that one will be doing desserts, guys. So you definitely want to tap in to that class. Sorry, I'm over here fighting with the cornbread. Yeah, you definitely want to tap into that class if you're looking for some recipes to do for Valentine's Day. I want to focus on desserts, but I may just go ahead and add an entree in there for you guys because I know some of y'all actually want to cook for somebody. And that's kind of what we did for Thanksgiving. So I may just go ahead and add that in there as well. But y'all, Look at this chili and the cornbread. Absolutely amazing. Everything plant-based. And there you have it.
I want to also let folks know, we sent out the ingredient list to folks that requested it today as well. But the video, we will try to have it up on the AARP Texas YouTube page in the coming days. So just keep an eye out for it, and we'll include the list of ingredients there as well.
Right. Well, I'll see y'all next week. I'm thinking about doing some vegan scallops, asparagus. I may just add in a meal in there. I'm really brainstorming to see what I can surprise you guys with. It was supposed to be just desserts, but you know, I specialize in food and I love food so much. So I may just go ahead and add that in there.
Right. I have a few last things to share with folks. As you mentioned, next week, we're going to be hosting the Valentine's Day meal. And in addition to that, those of you in San Antonio or in the area, I invite you also to visit aarp.org/San Antonio. We have a few other events and activities coming up, including some other online activities. We have a mindfulness class, a mindfulness applications class. So if you're interested in learning about different technology that you can use to incorporate into your mindfulness, we'll have that. We have a session on that coming up. We also have this Saturday, we have a discount for those wanting to attend the San Antonio Coffee Festival. So if you are interested in attending the San Antonio Coffee Festival, visit aarp.org/San Antonio, and you can retrieve your discount code there as well. So thank you everybody for coming in today. Thank you, Tia, for this great presentation, and looking forward to seeing y'all next week.